Luke Thomas in Washington, D.C. at the press conference for the Cleveland Brain Clinic next to the Bellator President. Is it Bellator President or Bellator CEO? I can never remember. President Scott Coker, I apologize. Scott, thank you for your time today. So this study here is pretty incredible. 2 more years. Can you tell me what exactly is Bellator's commitment? I guess Viacom's commitment generally, you're putting fighters through it. Is there a financial commitment as well?
There's a big financial commitment, but it's well worth it. And we've already started the relationship with Dr. Bernick 2 years ago. That was before I was here. But in the 2 years, we've sent several fighters to the Cleveland Clinic to get them studied and start the process. I don't want to say the fighters' names because then you might keep an eye on them. But the technology available today just was not available 4 or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago, or even 30 years ago when I first started. So to have this available to us, it's a great advantage because really when we put the fighter in the cage, we want to make sure that there's health and safety first, and that they're ready to compete, and that their cognitive logic is all there, and they're not starting to have a diminishing return, so to speak.
How many fighters in Bellator are participating? Do you know?
We've sent a couple. Yeah.
Okay. And that's just from the 2-year period to now?
No, that's since I've been here 18 months ago, But it's fighters that wanted to come and fight, that were under contract, and they wanted to continue to fight. And I said, hey, maybe it's time. It might be that time. So please go to the Cleveland Clinic. And at that time, we help fund it, and help them go there and really get that knowledge, because I wanted to know. They need to know. And sometimes it's hard to have that conversation, but maybe it's time to find the next career. And this will help determine whether it's that time or not.
Are you ever worried that the results of the study might put all these guys out of business? I mean, boxers and MMA fighters, that they may find things so troubling that the public attitude about combat sports changes?
You know what? When I look at the health and safety record of mixed martial arts, it's pretty amazing. I mean, if you think about the 31 years I've been involved, the UFC has been around since '93. Pride, K1, World Series of Fighting, Elite XC. There's never been a serious, incident. But, when you think about football, boxing, other sports, not just combat sports, but all the sports combined, this will tell the truth to everybody about where they're at. And that's really all we really should find out is are these guys ready to compete? Are they healthy enough to compete? Or are we putting them in harm's way?
Let's talk about Bellator 149 because it's sort of an avoidable topic at this point. Here's my sense of things. Tell me if I'm off. I think that Dada himself has some responsibility in terms of how he managed his own health prior to the fight. I think the commission has some responsibility. I think even media, I would argue, maybe has some responsibility in whether we ask the right questions and cover the fight appropriately. What is Bellator's responsibility here post-fight? Do you believe that fight was an appropriate one to make?
I mean, do I think those 2 fighters were equally matched? Come on, Kimbo's like, it's not, Phil Davis or King Mo.
I think the question is, was it appropriate? I mean, Kimbo's fought. He's a legit fighter in that sense. Was it appropriate to book him, Dada 5000?
Here's the thing is that that fight, when I think about, the safety measures that were taken going into that fight, we did everything we could to test to see if it was appropriate for him to fight. And all the tests came back saying he's in great shape, his EKG, everything. And even if we would have sent to the brain clinic, I don't think it was something that was wrong with his brain. That's that's a whole different topic. But his medical condition is really something you'll have to talk to him about. But with the information we had, we felt good about putting him in the cage. Otherwise, we wouldn't have done it.
But there's no interest in booking him again, right?
I mean, I think that Dada and Bellator, we should all be friends. We should just be friends.
Fair enough. Let's talk about Bellator 153 real quickly over the past weekend. Were you surprised by that main event result? Not that Andrei Koreshkov was not a good fighter, but that Benson Henderson essentially, he got shut out completely.
I was surprised. I mean, Koreshkov is a beast. We always knew that. But, Benson came to fight, and he is a tough guy, man. He's a guy that brought it. I saw him in the airport next day. It was like nothing happened. I said, hey, Benson, how you doing? He's like, yeah, I'm kind of bummed out. My leg hurts a little bit, but, I'm fine. I was like, wow, you are an animal, too. I mean, this guy brought it, and he kept fighting and fighting. And that's all you can ask of the guy. I mean, let's face it. I noticed for the first time at the weigh-ins, Koreshkov,
massive disparity.
Massive. And so I said, you know what? We need to maybe have a conversation with him about moving down to 155. But it's going to be up to him. I mean, you can't make the fighter you can't make the fighter do it if he doesn't want to do it. But I think we should have that conversation because I think he'll be great at 155. I think he'll be good at 170.
If he goes to 155, where does he go in the pecking order? Because he did lose, but it's a welterweight fight. It's almost like it's not the it's irrelevant per se, but it's not indicative of his abilities as and a record as a lightweight.
Yeah, I mean, here's a guy that he beat my two guys, in Strikeforce, right? And I thought those guys were killers. Well, they are killers, but I thought that for sure one of them was gonna get him, and he didn't do it. So to me, he's got my utmost respect. Here's a guy that has fought everybody, has ducked nobody, and been very successful. So where he starts at 155, I'm not sure until we sit down and we have a conversation with him, which I wanted to give him like a week to rest, a couple weeks. Let the kid rest. He took some hard shots the other night.
Just a couple more questions for you. Appreciate your time. MVP, how close is he to a title shot?
Boy, you know what? I think he's a couple fights away. Some people don't give him the credit, but this guy has it all, man. He's fast. He's explosive. He's got perfect timing. The real test is when he fights the big wrestler. That's going to be the test, and that fight will happen soon.
Folks are wondering, you're going to go to the UK in July. Is the ISKA going to be regulating that event? How's that going to work?
Yeah, I mean, ISKA is going to regulate the event. They regulate a lot of combat sports events over there, and we just had a nice press conference. We talked about all the issues and everything, and they're still working it out with the governing board of the doctors there and the I guess their athletic commission board. So we'll figure all that out in the next couple of weeks, but it's full bore forward. I know there's some issue about whether Kimbo is going to fight or is it suspension. Look, Greg Alvarez told me 90 days, and we're going with it, and that's what it is. And
then last but not least, Will Brooks. What's next for him? Does Bellator have a comment about his future in the organization?
Let's see what happens with the Chandler-Thompson fight, and then we'll go from there.
Scott Coker, thank you for your time, and I guess best of luck to you on May 14th for your next show. Yeah.